But big miss for them, I think, for certain. But good result for them as well, because Bournemouth haven't been, and they've not been bums this season. They've been a lot better than I think people probably gave them credit for.
Fulham are just under Chelsea at the minute, so
it's a nice little London derby there.
Yeah, that'll be a big game, final game of the season that for relegation. Liverpool v Burnley, that was another 3-1. There's full of 3-1s.
Expected this to be a blowout, to be honest. I thought Liverpool were going to absolutely batter them. Yeah. I mean, 3-1, it's good, it's comprehensive, it's a win, but I really thought they would absolutely go and take it to him. And I don't think it was quite that convincing. I think Burnley had a lot of chances that maybe could have capitalised on. Kelleher starts. Not sure what's going on there. Obviously, we're not Liverpool fans. I'm sure some of you are in the know as to why Alisson didn't play.
Just let's check. Alisson is flu.
Oh, so it's not an injury, really. He's just out of the match week squad. Yeah. Trent came off at half-time, I believe. Not completely sure why that is.
Usually when Kelleher starts, Liverpool look 10 times worse. I'm not trying to be like a dick, but
I think equally it was last week against Arsenal. Alisson didn't cover himself in glory, nor did Van Dijk.
Say Van Dijk's really good defender. I'd love to have him in my team. And then people are like, yeah, he's back to his best. He's not back to what he was. Like, he was unreal.
No, he's
that
still
season.
One of, if not the best centre back in the league.
Oh yeah,
but when you look at the levels of what he put up that season in terms of how much of an impact, people were definitely not wanting to play against him. He was that kind of, when the people say aura and everyone makes a bit of banter about it, there's some truth in that statement, because people didn't want to play against this guy. He was an absolute colossus at the back.
I still think he's, like you say, I think he was in my team this season so far. I still think he's very high up there. I think he's still probably better than Saliba.
I think Saliba, we need to see this continue.
Yeah, he's young, isn't he?
Yeah. If this continues, there's a world where he goes on to be the best Premier League centre-back currently. I also don't think Van Dijk will be there next season.
Do you think he's going again? Another player that's going?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's a world where I can see him sign, but I think Klopp leaving, I think Salah will go, I think Van Dijk will go. I think there'll be 3 or 4 exits on the pitch well.
It's a scary thing that actually, just to pick up on that, because if Salah do, in a hypothetical world, if Salah and Van Dijk leave
with Klopp,
you've got a lot of experience, a lot of like know-how to win these big games leaving. It's kind of like, I know Liverpool fans don't like me saying this, but it is kind of like United. You're losing all that experience. It's just how you deal with it.
Well,
I get if you do get Alonso, he's great with these youngsters at Leverkusen, but it's different when you lose that sort of experience at a different club.
Yeah, I think, what he's gone in, the expectation at Leverkusen isn't to do what he's done.
No.
And I'm not to say the expectation at Liverpool will be, because I think the fans will be accepting that if they bring a new manager in, it's not going to be as easy. They were at the top again, and it took them a while to get there. Klopp wasn't immediately there. So I think the Liverpool fans will be accepting.
Yeah.
For so long, and obviously we're talking hypotheticals here. There's a world where Salah and Van Dijk are still at Liverpool next season. Yeah. I'm just saying, I personally don't think that they will be. Certainly, I don't think Salah will be there. I would almost, if I was a gambling man, I'd put my money on he's definitely not going to be there next year.
I know everyone gives Salah the praise, but I think Van Dijk's more of a miss than Salah.
I don't think they can replace either of them.
Whenever Van Dijk doesn't play, look at the results. They're not great.
I think it's a harder player to find in the market as well.
Oh yeah.
You can't. I'm not saying that you can go and find a Salah replacement, because I don't think you can. You can't find someone that will get you that many goals, but you can find someone that can maybe get you half the goals and is young. Maybe if their recruitment is up to the job of finding somebody that, I've criticised it in the past and maybe unjustified a little bit, where I talked about how I don't think they've replaced Sadio Mane, and you were in agreement with me, and we had a bit of backlash on our social medias when we said that. And that wasn't any critique to the players they brought in replacement. But they're just not at that level yet.
No.
They can be, and they're good signings.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that Luis Diaz, for example, or I know Cody Gakpo kind of isn't that kind of player, but they brought him in potentially for a Firmino replacement. I don't know exactly. I'm not professing to know exactly what these signings were brought into.
Yeah, he can play everywhere, really, can't he? But
you can't tell me that at this moment in time that Luis Diaz or Jota are on the level of Sadio Mane for Liverpool, and that's not because they've not won the trophies yet. It's just because they're not at the output and performance levels that he was. And they both could be. I think Jota is probably as good as you'll get. I think he's as good as he can be.
Yeah, Mane was...
Diaz could get better.
Diaz could.
And he is good already. He's already good. I'm not criticising it, but when people seem to disagree that when we said they've not got a replacement, I don't think they have got a replacement yet. Because to me, you have to prove, like if they brought in a Salah replacement, let's say, for example, he isn't your Salah replacement until he starts hitting those kind of numbers,
Yeah, the thing is, we're not saying anything bad right now, but we're still not going to get any Liverpool fans agreeing with us. There's no chance. So no matter what we say,
what I mean to say is he could be the replacement long term, but as of right now, do I think Luis Diaz fills Mane's boots? No. And that isn't me knocking it. I think he's a great signing and he could have that potential. But as of right now, you haven't replaced his output with the new signing you've made.
One of Mane's best attributes was off the ball. The high press worked so well, not because of Salah, because he doesn't do it. It was Mane, Firmino, all that was due to Mane.
They worked
mostly
well together as well, though.
Yeah,
Firmino was the one that got the least credit for his job in that, because realistically, he had the lowest numbers output.
Yeah.
He still had games where he was the difference, and he had games where he scored 2-3 goals.
I get Salah's going to get the hype. I get it. He is class.
And you're not going to replace them numbers. It's just not going to happen. No. You'd have to sign Mbappe. There's not any players out there, really, that are going to come in and get Salah numbers.
But that's the thing. If you sign Mbappe, I get that he does running and that, but he is like a player like Salah. You would have to have two workhorses to make up for Salah.
Yeah.
But
I think the other players would do that at Liverpool. I think
yeah.
The ethos is there. But yeah, we're off on a bit of a tangent there. But
no one's going to know how Liverpool do when they get a new manager. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But
I think Darwin's the right man. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think he's the right signing.
Yeah.
Through the middle. I think he's the one they should be focusing on. Gakpo, I don't really know where he fits in long term for Liverpool.
No, I don't. It was a bit weird. It was like... The thing is with Liverpool signings, I was on about it the other day to like my mates and that. They've got flop signings and no one says anything about them.
What, in the squad currently?
No, so they had Naby Keita, absolute flop.
Lots of injuries there, weren't there, though?
But
I would agree it's a flop.
But if you say a United player who has loads of injuries, it's just a flop straight away.
I'm in agreement. But
Thiago, flop.
He's injured again, I believe.
Yeah. Play 5 minutes, he's injured.
He's on 200 grand a week.
Well, that's a flop. I'm not saying they're bad players. I think Thiago's one of the best midfielders, ability-wise. He's unreal.
Yeah, he is.
But he's a flop. But it just doesn't seem like they don't get it. Nunes isn't a flop, is he? Because he's still getting the numbers in that.
I never said he was a flop. I think people probably did last year because of the obvious, really. This guy misses sitters more than he should. Let's be real.
And then he scores a back header.
But look at somebody let's compare him, for example. I know that Nunes is more central, but he has played out on the left. Let's compare him to Raheem Sterling. He is somebody you could tar with the same brush. He misses a lot of sitters. I think he ironed it out in certain seasons at City, and he was a lot more clinical. But nobody ever labelled him as a flop. I never labelled Darwin as a flop. But there was a point where I'm thinking, you go one or two ways. I had him as one of my one-to-watches this season because I'm like, he will put a lot of those problems he had last season right this year.
Yeah.
And his numbers have been good this year.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were jumping on it and saying, he's not the guy and all this. I think Darwin is the guy. I think he'll be at Liverpool for a long time.
It is a bit strange how he misses sitters and then he goes and scores.
It is bizarre. But I do think he's ironed it out more this year than last year. He's still in his game, but he's improved.
And he's still young, so...
And the more he improves like that, he'll be so lethal because he's in the right places all the time. And he's actually very unselfish.
And that's why I put him in. Do you remember when I think it was quite early on, I actually put him, we did top 5 strikes in the Prem, and he was in mine.
Yeah.
But that's because I actually saw the potential. So we're not saying he's bad, but he just needs to iron up on his finishing a bit.
But I think, I'll say already, I think he's been a better signing, and this isn't me critiquing he's a better signing, in my opinion, than Diaz, than Jota, than Gakpo. I think Darwin's a better signing for Liverpool.
I know everyone's on the bandwagon with Jota a bit, and I've always liked him. Every time he played, he always scored. I liked him at Wolves. I thought he was class.
Yeah, I thought he was good, yeah.
No one really...
Very good in the air for a smaller guy as well.
No one really bothered with him until until recently when he started scoring. It just makes you think, like, I'd rather have Jota on the left than Diaz when Salah comes back, but it's just whether that'll happen, because Jota's only got in because Salah's gone.
I think with Jota, it's one... I think he is at his level now, which is a good level, I'm not saying, but what I would compare to the other players I've just mentioned is, so for Diaz, for example, or Núñez, I think they've got more gears to go through. I think Jota's at the peak of his game.
I think that you're sounding like what I said about Bowen. He will never be as better than West Ham. So you're kind of saying...
I think similar, yeah. I think Bowen, and that's not disrespecting them. I think they're great players, but I think those other players are still at a good level and have got ways to go yet in terms of longevity-wise. I think they'll push on and be better and better and better. I think we're currently seeing the best of Jota right now.
Yes, yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That output's good. But I think in terms of, the long term and what you're getting from him currently as well, I think Darwin's been the best one for them this season, bar Mohamed Salah.
I know one thing for sure, if whoever comes in at Liverpool, they need to get a defensive mid straight away.
Well, they needed that this season anyway, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
exactly,
clearly got Endo as a kind of like, he'll help us with depth-wise, but he's not the long-term solution.
No.
He's
30 years old as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who else have we got on the 3 o'clocks? We went on a Liverpool tangent there.
We had Tottenham and Brighton, so this was 2-1 to Tottenham, but the thing is, these games are always like just hectic because they both play the same way.
Yeah, it's very... I didn't watch this one. Obviously, I've seen the goals and such, but...
So all the goals, like, I think the first 2 goals were from, like, you say mistakes, but it's not, because both teams try to play out and both teams try high press. So what happened to Spurs trying to play out and then Brighton nick it and get a penner and stuff like that? Down at the other end, Brighton do the same thing, try to play out, and Spurs nick it.
Yeah, capitalise on it.
It's just it was the same thing, like, all game. And then obviously Spurs managed to nick it at the end, which they've done like a lot this season.
Yeah.
I think in the last like 3 games he scored in 90 plus minutes.
I do think they're going under the radar a bit now, because I don't think...
It's kind of like Fergie, that.
I don't think people expected them to do well this year. Then they started and really outperformed. Then they really dropped off and had a bad spell. And now they're sort of quietly getting the results a little bit again. Don't get me wrong, there's a few hiccups here and there, but they've turned that form around again. So I'll be interested to see just how well they can do this season. You do need to have a look at it, though. Do you know, like, if you're just getting the goals 90 plus minutes in the last 3-4 fixtures, you need to have a look at it and go, right, come on. But you're getting the results. From a team point of view and the manager, and they'll want to put that right, but the fans will be happy that they're just getting over the line.
Yeah.
But what I would say, and maybe this is me going out a bit on a limb here and going a bit early, I still don't think they'll find that 4th spot this season. I think based on the way they're managing to get results at the minute, a lot of people would probably tip them to take 4th.
Who do you reckon will take it?
I still think Villa are more likely. I still think there's a chance, and this is me being stupid and biased, I still think there's a chance we get up there by the end of the season.
If we pick up a win,
that'd be a real achievement for us based on where we are right now. But I think over the course of the season, United could be fighting for it. I think 4th would still be a big overachievement based on how they've played recently.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if Tottenham have got it in them between now and the end of the season. You look at your fact, I think, in whatever order, Liverpool, City and Arsenal are going to be top 3. So there is only one, off that logic, there's only one Champions League spot up for grabs.
And you've got United, Tottenham and Aston Villa fighting out for it.
Yeah, and I think we're being generous putting ourselves in that bracket right now.
But I think we have to, really, don't we? I know people will be watching this like, oh, typical United fans. But we're not that far off, let's be honest. Kills you. Well, actually, I say we're not that far off. We are quite far off. We'd have to do something. I think, but technically, isn't there a little bit of a thing going on at the minute that 5th might get Champions League?
I don't know whether... I've not really heard anything about it.
No, I've
Is that something that's on the basis of who wins, or is it the fact we might get 5 spaces?
I think it was the fact that we might get 5 spaces.
Oh, right. No, I've not heard anything about it.
But if you, like you say, isn't it if like City win, then
well, Liverpool aren't in it, so City or Arsenal would have to win it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, if they win, then 5th comes available.
I think so. I mean, don't quote me on that.
But like I say, the only chance of us getting Champions League is that 5th. I don't think we get 4th. I think it's out of Tottenham, Aston Villa, I think Tottenham will get it.
I think we can have a spell during the season where we look like we're there, And whether we capitalise on that or not, I'm not sure. But I think between now and the end of the season, like, we're on a good run at the moment.
Yeah.
We've not had the most tricky fixtures.
We've got our players back, haven't we? So we look a little bit.
But we have, and obviously we've immediately lost Martinez again, which is bad.
Yeah.
But Luke Shaw's a big addition. Casemiro had been out for a long time, so 2 more in the spine of the team that we need. But yeah, I don't know. I think Spurs have still got a lot to do to make that 4th spot cemented. I think people are sort of thinking. I think that's the easy bet to make right now.
Yeah.
Is Tottenham to finish 4th.
I was a bit harsh on Tottenham then, because I'd love, you getting the results, that's great. Like, you're still doing it. Like, if you're scoring in the 90 plus minutes in consecutive fixtures at least, that shows us you're not giving up, and that's good.
It's something that people have often said about title winning teams. They just find a way to win. And I'm not saying Spurs are a title winning team. I'd say completely opposite,
and
actually, if you ask me to analyse it.
And it's the opposite of bottling as well.
They're still finding a way over the line. So at some point, if they can maybe iron some of the easy goals that they're conceding, but I think it's natural the way that they play, the style that they play. That
it's like us. Goals. We're always going to concede because of the way we play.
What shit?
Yeah. I was on about man-to-man marking, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the new way teams are playing now, you're bound to concede, really.
It's more likely. You even look at City this year. I mean, City have notoriously been a team that, although you might nick a goal, more often than not, they will keep clean sheets. And I think they've given up a lot of goals this season for their own standards.
Especially when Rodri was out.
You know, you look at the clean sheets in the league, I think the most is 8. It could be 9 now based on this week that's been played, but 8 or 9. And United are on 7. And we have been horrific. We've got a minus goal difference. We've got 7 clean sheets.
Yeah, I found it funny the other day. Like, someone keeps bringing out the stat of most. What is it? Most by keepers. Most mistakes leading to goals.
Okay, yeah.
That everyone keeps bringing it out, and then with a picture of Onana there, and Onana's not in the top 8 or top 5 or whatever, and then people put a caption saying, "And guess what? Onana's not there." I was like, it's not the mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes, really.
He did in the Champions League.
Yes. But it's his keeping ability. It's shocking. Well, we won't get on that.
They should go down as mistakes, really, shouldn't they?
They should.
Saka has scored again. It's 5-0 Arsenal. The West Ham fans that went home sat on the sofa now with a brew. Probably a good decision.
And there's some more going on right now. So
also don't have Saka on my in my fantasy team, so that could hurt me this week.
I don't know what's happened to West Ham, because we won 3-0, which I didn't think we would, because they're quite a boring and shit, like, opposition to play against. Sorry, West Ham, but I just don't like your manager.